for another book review session on Gravitas Wins Book Club. Today, Captain Arputharaj is going to review Who Will Cry When You Die. And I was talking to him. He has copious notes, and he sent me some of these notes as well. 20, 30 pages of notes, and then he has condensed them to 3-4 pages in his note. So I'm assuming we are going to have a very lively discussion. Over to you, Captain Arputharaj.
Thank you. Thank you very much, and good evening to everyone. Okay, to start up with this book, the book itself, the name of the book itself was making me think. This question is something that which keeps going around in our minds, and I think each and every one of us would have thought about it some point. And probably the sooner we think about it, it gets our mind moving. And when I thought about it, it became like, even before I opened the book, I kind of thought, what would this book mean, or what the author would be trying to say. So I just thought about it and wrote a few things on that. And my initial thought was, it will be like how many people around me, and the more the people are, the more the work I have done, or the more people I have actually tried to improvise on, or made a difference in people's life. And after that, I made a few notes before I opened the book, and then I went further. I opened up the book and then I started reading it. Robin Sharma, I was introduced to Robin Sharma a very long time back through one of my teachers, a very senior teacher, who talks a lot on psychology and who talks a lot on how we can do things better. So my first book was on the monk who sold his Ferrari, the leadership qualities thing. So I went through that, and after that, now recently I picked up this book because, again, a few more questions were still unanswered, and looking at it. When I went through this book, the initial this book has about 101 chapters, and every chapter is about 2 pages, and it was very, very concise, and we can't go chapter wise because there was too many information. And I read the first 30-40 chapters, and again, the author did not answer about what will happen, what is that all about. And then I went into the last chapter to have a look on what he's telling. I mean, eventually what he's telling, and then I came back to the front. Then it was like I was looking. The thing that made a lot of sense is, once you learn how to die, you learn how to live. This was a concept, the core of this book. So he basically was saying that if you have thought about it and you learn how to die, and then you got everything. You know how you can live, so that eventually things will fall in place. You will not regret. You will not regret anything at all. And forget anyone whoever is going to cry. But then if you have led a life with happiness and you have made a difference to people around you, then that matters a lot. And he basically says that you live fully. You just live fully. You make sure that you do not hurt anyone, and whatever you do should bring positiveness around you. The more positiveness around you, the more happier you are going to be. It's more of circles around you. Okay, if the number of people around you are happy, automatically your environment becomes better. And if you keep increasing this circumference more and more, then automatically it's going to increase the your possibilities, the probability of you being happy and you leading a better life. Okay, and the question of will anyone die, will anyone cry when you die is always there. But again, that is how you are impacted in people's life. It's not because of sadness, but it is because of whatever good you have done, and they were happy for you, or they just miss you. Okay, and probably they are looking up to you. So that is something that eventually he leads into it. The most important thing, he says that how your life would make a difference is how your mind thinks about your thoughts, your thinking, and whatever you are reciting, whatever you are looking at, however you are behaving, and however and the people that you are relating to. So you may have numerous people. Again, who are the friends and what kind of group you are with, what kind of books you are reading. So all these things will influence a life, and it will say that how you are progressing, in which direction that you are progressing. So maintaining your perspective is very, very important. Even if people come and influence you saying that this is wrong, that is right, and all this thing comes into your perspective will be in the right directions. So it is very, very important that you maintain your perspective and progress further in life. The other important thing that he comes around is looking at mind as God. Okay, looking at mind as God and body as a temple. So it is very, very important that the mind and body has to synchronize, and you take care of mind, but at the same time body also has to be taken care of. How in a temple is cleaned and maintained in good order, and make sure that it's a holy place, and then whatever related to God is also taken care. So it is very, very important your body and mind are synchronized and moving together. So this book runs through various things that you can do to take care of your mind aspect and then your body. For mind, early morning waking up, the 5 a.m. Book is also there from Robin Sharma, and he talks about why it is so important that you get up early morning and have this first 30 minutes, how you spend this first 30 minutes. He calls it as the platinum 30. So it is very, very important that this first 30 minutes you spend it in a very good environment, and how you think about in the first 30 minutes, how you work around in the first 30 minutes. So if you can get this first 30 minutes right, the rest of the day is going to fall in place, and eventually before you go to sleep, if you prepare yourself well, every day is going to be peaceful, and you are going to enjoy the every moment of the day. So my first thing is to share. I would like to know, this is one question that I floated across in my family group also, on how did every person spend the first 30 minutes of the day. Just a open frank question, and there were different things that came up in our family circle, but then the same question I would like to place here also. Just meantime, then we'll further progress. So if anyone could comment on how do you think the first 30 minutes you had spent, and how you think that first 30 minutes will improve for you.
Very interesting question, Arputharaj. Before I share, the first 30 minutes, I think last time when when there was a book review as well, I shared the first 30 minutes, how I first 3 hours what I do. I heard from Stephen Covey's son. His name is also Stephen Covey. That we all have 2 deaths. One is the physical death that we have, and the second death happens when everybody around us stop talking about us. Everybody forgets us. That's the second death that happens, and that's even more painful, even though we are not there. But that's even more impactful because nobody remembers us anymore. So, joining back to what you discussed. When we live a good life, when we live a memorable life, people will remember us for quite a while, and that's how our legacy lives on. For the first 30 minutes or so, I've shared it earlier also. For me, I have about 9 routines. If I'm able to do at least 3 to 4, I'm very happy. But one of the thing is, again, as a Christian, for me, it is reading Bible and prayer. That's the first thing that happens. Then all the other things that happens. I would like to read a book, or I would like to write something. So either create some form of either reading a book or writing something about the book that I read, or some journaling. That will happen for about 30 minutes. Then again, I'll spend some time with my wife. She will come along and then bring a coffee, and then we will chat for a while, and then we will talk for a while as well, and then pray for a while. Then usually, it used to be when I was young, usually some form of exercise, but nowadays it's just walking. I'll go for 40 minutes of walking or something like that. Sometimes I go with my sons, and then we will chat, we'll talk something. Sometimes the family matters, sometimes spiritual matters, sometimes just general knowledge matters. So that's how my first 3 hours work. I would like to hear from others, how their first 30 minutes or first hours work. Yeah, Hitin?
Yeah, I'm going to go with that. Hi, everybody.
Lovely.
Hi. Yeah, I'm at my father's house now. Right. So from last week, I think my morning ritual has changed a bit. So what I do now is the usual stuff, followed by, of course, my coffee, and I fill up a bottle of water to keep myself hydrated. And as soon as I sit on my desk, now I check the messages in our group that I'm with JJ, because sometimes there are very interesting posts by somebody. So that will usually take me to LinkedIn. I read about that article. If I like it, I continue. I do a little bit of research on that. If I find it interesting, I just keep it for research, to do a research a little bit later during the day when I'm bored. And apart from that, I while sipping my coffee, I try to listen to an audiobook. I'm kind of lazy about reading the book, so I listen to audiobook uh, at least 20 minutes while I'm sipping my coffee. So that's about the first 30 minutes, to be very precise. So I check the group that I just recently joined, which is where we talk about this. I take my coffee, water, and I listen to an audiobook. And yeah, I also prepare the things that I want to do. I should be preparing it in day before, but I kind of just plan things, that what I'm supposed to do and what I didn't do last day, and then kind of bring those bullet points onto the today's day. Yeah,
Wonderful.
So that's 30 minutes.
Good. Thanks, Hitin.
Yeah.
Padma, would you like to share? Or
I'm actually baffled, no words to say. But the
Sorry?
topic is. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like I'm all over the place and I don't have a morning routine. I think that's the right answer. But I always like when I get up, it's like 1 hour I'm still in bed. Like as soon as I wake up, I don't jump out of bed. But I kind of, right now it's bad. I think it's social media. But I think I'm connected to people, and that kind of pumps me up. But coming to this topic, I've always had a very spiritual thought is, when you're alive, if people are not thinking about you, what matters when you die. So that is how I see. I think the first death in the family happened when I was in 10th grade, and I'm not sure if that pushed the philosophy boundary over there. But I always feel like even now, I think of random people who are no more. And why? Because they've touched my life some way or the other. So I think that is what matters. And when you're looking at a bigger social circle, I've never felt like, immediate family member, you should ever have that thought. And I always tell people, including my kids and my spouse, I tell, don't worry about what happens after you die. Like, if you're not doing good and if you're not nice to people now, why do you even care whether they are coming to your funeral or whether they are, they are thinking about you? So that is my perspective on this. But it's really nice. I think somewhere down the line, I should change my behavior when it comes to morning routine. But I think I've challenged myself a lot when it comes to those morning routine before as well. So
Thanks, Padma. I mean, it's a very good thing. See, one of the things that you talked about is, I mean, seeing death close. When I grew up, I mean, thankfully, like, I mean, I didn't have that. I didn't see somebody. My aunt passed away, my uncle passed away very early, but I didn't see that very up close. But in my first job, I used to work in cardiac unit. Death was a common occurrence, and I will be, I mean, because of my work, I'll have to be stationed in the ICU, and then I saw death up close. Wow. Every day, almost, like, I mean, somebody will die, and I have seen sometimes, a very little small kid, like 6 years, 7 years, they will come in for some surgery, and sometimes successful, many times, I mean, it is not successful. You hear that particular news, that kind of shapes your thinking in a very, very different direction. So Padma, like, I mean, when you shared that, when you had a very death nearby, so that's what I remembered. Thanks for sharing that, Padma.
Thank you.
Kavita, do you want to share anything?
Yeah, Joseph. Actually, Padma kind of, said a lot of things. That's true for me too. So I've seen death up close, not as early as Padma though, but very personal tragedy. So it's not like it's a kind of impact that you leave when you're alive, right? It's like a train journey. I mean, all of us come with an expiry date. We don't know when that date is going to be, and when we are going to, jump off the train. As far as the morning routine is concerned, I try to do a few things. One is, of course, I'm a big, I'm very active on LinkedIn. So the first, before I pick up the phone to check my WhatsApp, because one of my kids is outside, so I need to keep checking on, messages from her. No other WhatsApp messages first thing in the morning, only from her, and then also a few LinkedIn news and articles. But just before that, just before I open the phone, I try to do, though I could get better at this, but I found this very powerful, that I tell myself that it's going to be a wonderful day.
Wow.
And I try to visualize it, that like what is it that you think is wonderful, right? To me, it is more, it's like a beautiful day with nature around and butterflies flying around. So that has proved very nice, very powerful to me, especially the days when I wake up feeling low, right? And the days I go to office, the next 1 hour goes in just, the routine and rushing to office. But the days I don't, I go down for a walk, exercise. It's totally music, either music, podcast, depending on the mood of the day. And at the end of it, I spend about 10 minutes, 5 to 10 minutes, 5 if I'm really in a rush, just sitting in a place which is very serene. Luckily, I have one where I live, which has, a water body, and and those are typically the times I write my LinkedIn posts. But then that's a more of a reflective and introspective phase.
Wonderful. Thanks, Kavita. Thanks for sharing. I mean, we should start our days with butterfly. Ashwini, do you want to share anything?
Yeah. So, I mean, I also do what Kavita actually said, that sort of, I say actually, it's something I caught up from the Tiny Habits book. There was a small suggestion in that, like, every day, be grateful and sort of thank for what you have. And also, like, I say, okay, actually, it's going to be a great day. And it sort of sets that positive attitude for the day. And for me, the first 30 minutes, I don't have the luxury to take it for myself. I mean, I head straight into the kitchen on weekdays to get my son going to school. But what happens after that, like when I get him ready for school, and then I have like a time where there's calmness at the house, nobody else is awake, and I have the house to, like very quiet state. That's when I sit and then like around 15 minutes sort of have a bottle of water, and then I say a small prayer, and then also say it's going to be a great day. And then it's, that two things is like really like sort of makes me, get me set for the day. And another thing that I also wanted to share was the 100-day project that I had recently done. I mean, last year I did, and that was something I did early in the morning. So it was like, I wanted to learn Rangoli, columns, So 100 new columns for this one. It sort of started as something like really simple, me trying to learn something, but actually this is something I did first thing in the morning, which means I have done something new. I have accomplished something new in my start of the day, which is like, and something artistic. I have something learned. I put a new flower, I do a new rangoli, and it was like, well, then the 100 days that I had done, I felt so good. Oh wow, like I did something new. I have tried something new, and it's and I'm trying to say, I mean, I'm giving myself a break. I wanted to do something new, but I'm not even sure like if I can beat something that I had done earlier. So trying something out new every day in the morning, an easy thing, even though it's an easy thing, but it sort of set the momentum for the day.
Lovely sharing that, Ashwini. We should talk about that 100-day project. Back to you, Arputharaj.
I think all of us touched all areas. Again, the most important thing that here he was trying to say that can we get some time in silence, solitude, and as Kavita and Ashwini were talking about, also thinking about the right things and then reciting things like I'll have a wonderful day. It's something that it really helps our mind. How it helps our mind is in one of the topics he says that you are creating a picture and the mind thinks that is actual, and a lot of times you create this thing and get your mind to get into that zone where it is very, very comfortable. So whatever our thoughts are, whenever we are reciting it, and our mind gets dragged towards that zone. So if you are going to recite negative things, it will get dragged towards that. And if you are going to recite things like this, like I will have a wonderful day, or all is well, or I am going to have a gorgeous time, and I'm going to take this run for a distance. I'm going to have fun, and whatever happens, I'm going to remain happy. And if you can recite it as many times as possible, and it will definitely help. So as Kavita was saying also, I think it really helps. I've started doing that recently, and it feels really good. And I'm looking at probably let 2 weeks pass by, and then I might give you a feedback on that also. And the other thing about human beings, the habit of us going back and thinking about people who do not like us, or thinking about things which trouble us a lot, instead of counting the blessings. How often do we go back and think about things that trouble us a lot? If we can train our mind to, whenever we have a situation like that, we can train our mind and go back and count our blessings. And whenever there is a problem, go back again and count your blessings. And the one easier way to handle your problem is, can we write down the problems? Can we just list out the problems? If you have 10 problems and you just list out the problems, that is where your serenity prayer comes in. There is a prayer called serenity prayer, which basically says that we need serenity to handle things that we cannot, and courage to change things that we can, and wisdom to know the difference. Okay, this is a very, very good prayer. It is beyond religion, and it makes a lot of sense. So when you write down the list of problems and you look at which problems you can change, if you cannot do anything about the problem, just strike it. Then it's not a problem. Remove it from your list. And if you can change some problem, then you know that you can do that. Then take those things apart and see what you can do to address that problem. And the last one is just keep training your mind for having that wisdom to differentiate between these two. Okay, so once the serenity, courage, and wisdom is that the thought of that is in place, you will be able to handle a lot of problems in a different way. Okay, and the next part is, while handling this problem, can we maintain our cool? Okay, to maintain our cool, a few tests that he says. One is the 3-gate test that he says, whether when someone is triggering something, or you obviously don't like someone, and then you know that he's bringing in a lot of negative feedback into you, and you are about to burst. Just hold on and think whether it's going to make any difference. whether it is the fact, or next is it the fact, whatever you're going to tell, is it going to be the fact, and second is whether it is going to make any difference, and third is the person going to actually think about it. Most of the time you will strike one of this, you will strike, and then you will not even go beyond that. Okay, so that is the three gate test that he's saying to maintain the cool. And once you maintain your coolness, a lot of times is you are avoiding hardships for so many years. When you don't maintain a cool and then you say some things that you don't mean really, but the other person takes it in the real sense, and to come out of it, it takes really tough time and lot of effort. So it is very, very important for us to maintain a cool and have our head over shoulders to manage things better. So this one thing I felt that it is really important for any person to understand when they have problems. And one important thing on problem, I mean, he one of the sections he quotes that I wept because I had no shoes until I saw a man who had no feet. It's a Persian proverb. Okay, so this actually tells a lot of things. And in this books, lot of areas, lot of quotes are there. And I was wondering why so many quotes, and was it, I mean, too many quotes were coming inside. But then in one of the areas towards then he explains why he used it also, saying that when you analyze the quote, your mind actually goes into a different section, and these quotes give a lot of information. He does not need to write too many things. But then other thing I was parallelly I was thinking, he has referred to different quotes, different section, and I felt that all the quotes were somewhere linked to the famous poet, Tamil poet Thiruvalluvar from Thirukkural. Somewhere lot of things were getting connected. I probably learned it when I was in school, but then a lot of quotes were somewhere linked to it, starting from where he talks about maintaining your perspective. So all this were somewhere going back to there, but then there was no mention about Thiruvalluvar anywhere. But then that was so many 1,000 years back, where he has already wrote about so many things. So I was in fact thinking that I was curious to ask the author himself whether has he really read it, or has he thought about looking into those quotes also. Probably sometime down the future I will write to him and find out that aspect. And
Arputharaj, if I may share two points. Okay, so I was listening to another podcast, and this guy says, Kunal Shah, one of the points that he talks about says is, see, the earlier these quotes, this all comes from the tradition of the early religious scriptures, because at that time there was no writing. It was not as generally available like this, so everything will have to be recited and shared with words. So they will have to compress a lot of truth into the smallest possible words. So that's why, like, the Quran also comes, but he gives the example of Sanskrit and then few other things as well. But then, he says in the early days, so much of truth will have to be compressed into the smallest words possible, so that it can be recited and the truth can be transmitted to others. And Quran comes in that particular tradition. And when you talked about this quote, that is what triggered in my mind. So that's, I thought I'll share that here.
Yes, it makes a lot of sense. Even with Tirukkural also, it was like a person who was written in 2 lines, so many things. And when you talk about the 2 lines, we literally talk a lot on that. And even if you have to write about those 2 lines, I remember like we used to write a few pages to as an answer for that. So we used to write a few pages to this, but then it all made sense. And especially when we started moving out of school and started visiting places, and when we came into a family life and then professional life, everything came into place, then all those things made a lot of sense. So it helps us to analyze things much better. And the next thing, Next thing on one beautiful quote which came up while reading across was Kevin Costner, the Hollywood actor. He was not doing well in movies, and then things were not going well for him. And that time when the people were asking him, what do you think about this? You are such a good actor, and then what do you think about this? His simple answer was, I am living a life. Okay, and then he just left, and then the people, it just came as a quote, and then it had a lot of sense. And here Robin Sharma also talks about it. It makes everything in. I mean, I'm having a life. I'm leading a life. I'm living a life means that life will have everything. It has ups, downs. You'll be sad at times. You will be happy at times. You will not be. You may not feel anything at times. You may have money. You may not have money. You may have friends. You find friends closer to you, and sometimes they may not be as close as you expect them to be. So some relationships may be good. Some relationship can be bad. So all these things comes into place. So when you are looking at this quote, I am living a life, it is a pocket dynamite kind of thing. It says that you expect all this, and then we have to go beyond that and live a life so that we and the people around us and people who love us are happy. And overall, for our own happiness, thinking about the family and kids, how can we make a difference? They are the gift. They basically, here also, it's a quote that he says that look at them as a gift. And especially when people are working at professional life and personal life, can we have a barricade, which we lost during the COVID times? But then here again, he's clearly saying that a barricade has to be there. And before you enter home, can you decompress yourself? Probably one of the ways to decompress is you drive back home and sit in your car for 10 minutes, listen to music in your car park. That's fine. You just decompress yourself, and then before you enter your home, you leave things outside and then you enter. But with so much of electronic gadgets and things around, how easy is it is a good question. How difficult is it? There's also a different way of looking at. So this is something that we all need to think about. But the more we decompress ourselves, more we clearly demarcate ourselves, it is better for us, because those moments are the moments that we are going to think about when we leave our job. I will not call it as retirement, because my perspective of retirement has changed after reading this book. Because here it's also retirement means that you have completed everything, and you think that I can't do anything beyond this. I am going to take rest. That's as good as living anymore. So literally speaking, no one has retirement till he actually leaves the world. And if a person thinks that he has already retired and is then that is not a very good sign. We have to make sure that people are occupied and doing something. Retirement is not only retiring from the work that is providing us financial benefit, but something beyond it. We need to keep doing something, and the rest all will keep going and flowing in the same direction. And one interesting piece was he talks about having board of directors. It was curious for me. I was curious on thinking, how can I have a board of directors if I have a problem? Then he goes back, imagine these board of directors in your mind. Think about who you would like to have as board of directors in your mind, and then keep the problem and see how each and every one of them will react. If you can do that alone, and if you can get that thing going, nothing like that. I have not tried it, but I think it's an excellent idea. It made sense, but I would definitely love to look at it.
Arputhraj, just to add to the point, I haven't read this particular book, but I heard about this having a board of directors from a friend of mine long back, and I have constituted a board of advisors, board of directors, or board of advisors, so to speak. It is immensely useful.
Yes, I think so. And it must be, yes.
Like a company, when you have a board of advisors who have done what you have done, or who will challenge you, who will keep you accountable, it's immensely beneficial. I would encourage everybody to think about that. and have a board of advisors, not more, like, I mean, maybe 2, 3, not more than that. But then treat them with respect, treat them as board of advisors, right? Like what a company or a CEO would have, reach out to them for advice, send them updates. This is what I said I will do, this is what I have done, I couldn't do it, whatever it is, like now, like a CEO would treat it. It'll bring you immense accountability. They will challenge you if you have selected them really well, and you will grow enormously because of that. Now, I would highly challenge everybody to do that.
Yeah, this one, he's basically making things simple for, like, for me. How eventually I understood this board of directors. I imagine, like, for a personal purpose also, where my board of advisor, if my father sits there, what is he going to say? If he has this problem, how is he going to handle? How is someone else who's not there? He's not in this world, but then if he's not there, how is he going to handle? So it was taking one notch up. It was kind of a little bit sensitive, but then it made a lot of sense. Probably most of us are already doing it, but then we don't name it like that. Because one of our participants was saying that when think about others, then probably we think about how they would have handled it, and then we try to handle it also. So that is one thing. Regarding mastermind alliance. So when this topic came up on mastermind alliance, I really thought about this group, our group, where it was kind of relating quite a bit, because it was mentioning about people from different aspects and having a same perspective, or thinking about progressing or positiveness, and if they all join together and then discuss about various topics, not in one topic, various topic, it is going to be enriching. And this alliance is going to be really good, and is going to help each and everyone in that mastermind alliance. So I felt that our group we are already there, but then we need to enrich it with different topics, and then we need to interact as we are actually doing. And another suggestion came in is, try doing, I am not sure whether we would try it, but try doing it early morning, where we can push it up a little notch up, and then seeing that people can get a little bit more committed to this mastermind alliance, and then morning meetings may be a little bit more thought provocative, and then people can contribute a little bit more, and people may like it a bit more. I don't know how whether we can try it or not, but then it was just something which was in the book. I have just parked it aside. Probably I will we will see how we can look at it. And overall, I wouldn't say that I had anything to disagree in this book. The flow was good. Robin Sharma, generally he uses simple language, so the language was easily understandable. My notes are basically how I look at it is 4 pages. Can I get all the 4 pages into half a page? See what are the important things. That's how I pick the important things out of it. So important things, and then I build it up. Then I see that how I can look at it. So in that way, I didn't see much that I will not agree. There are too many techniques that he talks about, but some techniques we are already following it, and some techniques we can definitely look at it, especially the early morning routines, where he specifically says it's something like life is something like climbing a Himalayan mountain, where there is a base camp, and before going into the peak, people go to one stretch, they come and revisit at the base camp, they take rest at the base camp, and then they again try to reach the next peak, and eventually so many trials, and then they tend to reach the topmost peak. So using these morning sessions, morning times as a base camp is very, very useful to revisit what we are looking at, revisit our purpose, revisit what we are looking at as we progress, and our targets and our achievements till then, and keep stretching our goalposts, keeping the goalposts behind, so that we can keep trying further. And again, body as a temple, Like we do exercises, we do things like, and sometimes for mind, we challenge our mind with things like some puzzles or Sudoku or something like that, or even with meditation. But I think for treating body as a temple, we can try a little bit more. And one thing I was looking at it is probably start registering in an event once in every 3 months. I used to do it 5 years back, but after that I thought it didn't make any sense, so I was just running and cycling, whatever it is. But then when we start, I think when I started, when I was registering before, like I had a target, and for that I used to work. I used to stretch myself a little bit more. But after that, when I stopped registering, I was just running. I was enjoying it, but I was never thinking about stretching a little bit more. So probably I will start looking at it and start registering for events. So that is, as body as temple, I may look at doing better. And I would say that all of us can look at it where we can register on something, and we'll try to, we don't have to take podium, but then at least we will participate and see how far we can go. And this is all on this book. And I would like comments from others on this overall, what they think about it.
Thanks, Captain Arputharaj. Thank you for that review. Again, like, I mean, I want to hear comments from everybody, Xavier, Hithin, Joyce, everybody. And you can, I mean, if you're on Zoom, if you're on the desktop, probably you can raise using this particular feature. You can raise your hand and we can discuss about it. Arputharaj, like, I mean, some of the points that you talked about, right? I mean, which was very good. But one thing, Hithin also mentioned it in the initial time. My intention of this particular group, and this is why, I mean, I don't want a viral, like, I mean, 500 people to 1,000 people kind of a thing. I mean, very closed one, where we can kind of challenge the, I'm trying to do it without really saying it, but it's kind of like, I mean, if we can bring in some kind of accountability daily morning, if we post something, will that trigger, like as Hithin was saying, will it trigger some kind of a challenge? And then he ends up doing something, he posts it, and that kind of builds a positive momentum for everybody. And that's my intention. And then, you know, we are having this book review. So all of this adds up as a positive reinforcement, not just one activity, but then this particular thing, and maybe we'll have few other events also, virtual events and other physical events as well. So that's the idea. And then probably, like, I mean, some of you can pick up board of advisors from our own group as well. There are enough people, accomplished people, wise people, and all of those are in this particular group. So we can pick up as well. Anyone else wants to add anything? Feel free. Joyce, Kavita, we would like to hear.
One thing, just one thing I would like to add. While reading this book, I read the topic on blessing your money. The author was saying that whenever you spend money, bless your money. Just let the money, when you're spending it in a restaurant or when you're giving it to someone, bless the people who are using it or people who work for it and all those stuff. I was talking about this while driving, and then my kids and wife were there. We're talking about it and we're saying that, okay, this is what it is. We should do it. I think it's a good thing and all those stuff. And then I took a U-turn around one section. And then I saw a traffic police, and he asked me to come back. And eventually I ended up paying him 500 rupees.
So you blessed him. Good.
No, then I came in. My kids were asking, did you bless your money? Then it was like no, it was not even a fine. It was basically, he was threatening, and then the things were going in a different direction altogether. So it was like
so the world is the world is conspiring to test you, Arputharaj.
Yes. It is a challenge when things are happening for the right reasons. Yes, you will definitely. But when it's not wrong, you may not bless, but then you will not say anything. You will not curse also. Okay. You will just keep cursing and going on.
Good. Anyone else have any comments? Anything to add? I have a question, but
I need a minute. Shall I?
Yeah, please, Sukhwinder.
Yeah. two things. One about the reaction and responding. That is really important, and that was one of the nuggets. The board of directors, obviously, we have this community of good people, and we can share a lot of things. And doing the mastermind alliance in the morning, that can be really powerful. I'm in favor of it. And about the to-do list, I want to add, I was doing it in the before going to bed. I used to make my to-do list for the next day, but now I have shifted it to the morning after reading the last book which I reviewed, because in the morning I am free from all the thinking, all the restrictions, all those games which my mind is playing with me to uh, make me taper down those goals. So I am making the to-do list for the day early morning, first thing in the morning. That is the first thing in the morning I'm doing. And about the problems, I am writing down the problems the moment I go to bed. The last thing which I do is putting down the problems, what all I feel I have in my life as on it on a daily basis. And in the morning, most of the times I get all the answers. So that's from my side. It was great, Arputharaj. Hats off.
Thank you. Thanks, Sukhwinder ji. Maybe, Arputharaj and Sukhwinder, from whatever that you have said, maybe one day, instead of a book review as such, maybe we should have a masterclass here of living, and all of us can share certain kind of perspectives that we have gained, not just from one book, but in our life. Like Ashwini was saying, this 100-day project. That's an interesting thing. How she went about doing it, what are the challenges that she had, and what she learned from that. If she would share for about 10-15 minutes, that could be challenging for all of us as well, so that we can do that as well, right? So anyway, I'll think about it and we'll do it. Any other comments? Anybody else?
Yeah, so I'll say, just now Sukhwinder said that after reading the last book, I'm sorry, I don't remember the name of the book. I do remember the review, but he said, he has changed it and he's now preparing his to-do list in the morning. And I'm actually listening to a book these days, and probably I'll review it one day, hopefully soon, once I finish it. But so in that book, I found it, that it makes sense to kind of, make a to-do list for your next day in the evening. So one reason for that, that author is trying to say in that book is that, when you're trying to sleep or when you're trying to go to bed, you want your mind to be less distracted. You want your mind to be, hopeful about the next day that is coming. You want that next day to be great. So what you do is you kind of, take that 30-minute, you kind of review 10 minutes on the things that you're planning to do it, and then another 10 minutes just thinking about what you have done today, and another 10 minutes just to prepare if you want to go for a run or something. You want to keep your clothes ready, that last 5 minutes, and then you just then that absolute last 5 minutes could be just something else, whatever you want to do, kind of thing, and then you just go to bed. Because what often happens is which is the case right now, because I prepare my thing in the morning, and in the evening I would probably scroll through the social media in the bed, and every time we scroll, or I'm watching Netflix or something, so whatever I do, and these ideas, these things that they get planted in our head, and then our mind is like a sponge. We all know that, and kind of we adapt those ideas, or we take those ideas and we convert them into our own ideas. That's always the case, without realizing. Everyone does it. I'll say something, JJ says something, I'll find it interesting, I'll just twist it a bit, and then I'll convert it into my own version of idea, even though it's the same thing, and JJ might have done it from somewhere. So now I think I don't know how to go about it, but I think Sukhwinder thinks that it will be best to write in the morning. I am doing it in morning. I am now thinking it will be best in the evening. I think pretty much it all depends what works for you.
Yeah.
And what works for you does wonders for you. I have never thought about what's going to come, what's happening, what will happen when I'm 60, 65, 70. I don't know. I don't worry about the future. That's how I do it. And so I think it kind of, works. What works, I just go with that. What doesn't work, I kind of eliminate it, and I keep moving forward.
The only
Yeah,
thing that I would add, Hiten, is that keep experimenting. There is no, as you rightly said, for different people, we are all made very different. And then, so keep experimenting. One thing that Sukhvinder said, which is interesting, which I might follow, is that whatever problems that are happening, and then you have not found a solution, and it's intriguing you or it is challenging you, probably write them down. And over the night, you'll probably, your mind will think, your unconscious mind will kind of find a solution. And I've seen this multiple times. I myself have experienced it. In my early days, I have to write linked list. I didn't know how to do it. I would write it down and I will go to bed. And it really happened. In the morning, I wake up and then, I had the program in my mind. I could just go and write it. So I'm going to try that, Sukhvinder. But the larger point is we should do what works for us and keeping an experimentation, and then we can experiment. That's a yeah.
I'm going to add one more point to that. Recently we were having a presentation in office, and those of you who don't know, me and JJ, we work together. So
unfortunately,
unfortunately, yeah. So we had this presentation for the client, and after JJ reviewed it, he gave me some feedback. And usually, presentations are very easy for me, and I do. So I was thinking about the comments he made, and what worked for me. I'm just sharing what worked for me. I took a walk, and I was going out in the middle of the night. I had to get some ointment for my little one. So I'm just walking, and it's cold, and I'm just walking, and out of nowhere, I just started thinking about the presentation. And while I'm doing this exercise, I took this long walk, and I'm like, I'm thinking about the presentation, and it kind of worked for me. And then I realized, most of the good thinking that I do, or the interesting things that I do, I used to do it while I used to do my running, and because of winters, I kind of stopped. So it's kind of thing that works for me, and sometimes it works for me in the shower as well. I'm taking a shower and I come up with something absolutely fantastic. I'm like, oh yeah, I solved this problem. I know how to do it. So yeah, I will start writing them down, but again, it's the same thing for me. It kind of, the different things works for me.
Wonderful.
Just be careful about that platinum 30 that you're talking about. The first 30 minutes you get up, and the 30 minutes before you sleep. So that is one area that the mind gets a quality sleep, or your mind prepares itself. So probably that is one thing we may have to just have in mind before writing down the problems or something like that.
Yeah, the first 30 minutes or 1 hour is very, very precious. Whatever time you wake up, I mean, it doesn't have to be 5 o'clock that you are waking up, right? I mean, say for example, because of your work schedules and everything, you are only able to wake up at 10 in the morning. It's fine, but the first 30 minutes or so, or 1 hour or so, whatever that you are doing the first 30 minutes or 1 hour, I think that is going to determine how your day goes. The other thing that I would add to what Hiten said is that, it used to be that I would scroll on my phone until I would go to bed or something. Now, the phone, any device, is banned from my bedroom, from our bedroom. So both kids have a separate bedroom. We have a separate bedroom, but it is banned. We do not take the device at all. And almost most of the time, most of the days, the devices are put down at least half an hour to 1 hour before we go to bed. So our mind is a lot more fresher, and then we are all talking, having dinner, and we are all chatting. So that is a good thing. Joyce, do you want to add anything? Any comments?
No, I think I learned a lot. So how I start my day is what I have started practicing is first 15 minutes, I don't do anything. It's just a free of flow, free flow of thoughts. So I don't really think about anything specific, but whatever I wanted to think, I just think about. And of course, I don't have the privilege of having that half an hour because I need to make my kid ready and make her go to school. But once she leaves the house, it's peaceful. And what I do is I do something something which is not really creative, but any research or patenting, any such things, because it's very fresh in the morning. It's very effective. I've seen that, so I do that. And off late, what I also do is like I do after that almost like 45 minutes or so. I do some gardening around the house when I don't go to the office, of course. 2 days I go to the office, other days I just spend some time on the garden. So that's how my day goes. But the one thing which I definitely wanted to say is like, I like that, so I do thank in the morning, but saying that it's going to be a wonderful day, that's something that I really liked it. I should start that.
Good. Xavier and Priya, you haven't shared anything that you want to share? Priya?
Yes, thank you, Arputhraj, for this wonderful session. I mean, there were a lot of wonderful points that you had pointed out from the book, like the serenity prayer. Actually, I realize now that it is very important, because there was a sudden death in the family, and that happened early in the morning. So, which has made me, say a small prayer in the morning, that thankful to be breathing, thankful to be alive, and able to get up from the bed. So that itself is a big thing. And the one thing that I would start doing is writing down the problems. I haven't tried it out until now, but I think that should be useful. Thank
Lovely.
you.
Thanks, Priya. Xavier, final words before we finish.
Yeah. The first thing I do in the morning is like try to go back to sleep, because there might be a dream that, I mean, you half remember dreams, right? So I try to recall it as much as possible, so that then I note it down, because it might hold some answers or some things that, as you said, could solve a problem or tell me something to do that, as I think Supinder said, right? It could be something related to what I was thinking the previous night. So I tried to go back to sleep for 30 minutes back, but unfortunately I have to get up. So that's but this was a very good discussion. I got a lot of things. A couple of things are like known to me, but I think those came from these books. Maybe somebody else told me about it, but I think they would have read that book and then shared it. So most of the things are very good, especially the mastermind one is a very good plan or thing to adopt, I guess.
Wonderful. Xavier, we should all go back to sleep and get as many dreams as possible so that we can chase them.
Yeah.
Very good.
That is an excellent point. Going back to sleep.
Yeah. So nobody would have thought of that, right? What's your first 30 minutes? Going back to sleep. Lovely. Thank you so much.
I actually had this comment from my family circle also. Some of them said that, why would we get up? We'll go back to sleep.